All right. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to another Saturday morning here at the Art Clinic Online. This is our last Art Clinic of 2025. We actually, it's been quite a great year. We've had a lot of great artists that you can kind of go back into our archives during the winter break and take a look at anybody you may have over the year. We've had some really standout artists and some incredible hosting as well. Our next in-person meeting will be well, not in person, virtual meeting will be January 10th. We have Sheila Kreider visiting us again, and she is being hosted by Claudia Aziza Gibson Thomas. So be sure to come back and join us on January 10th for our first of the 2026 season. So we're really excited to keep going. I'm really excited about our last artist. The work that I've seen is just absolutely phenomenal. And anybody that Julia Bloom, our host today, interviews or as his hosting has turned out to be such a fabulous presentation. So I expect nothing less for today. Julie, of course, I actually don't remember when you presented originally, but having you back as a host feels like you're such an incredible part of our organization. So thank you, Julia. Julia is the director of Freight Gallery and an incredible artist in her own right. So without further ado, I'll pass the torch to Julia and she will introduce our artist today.
Thank you, Jordan. Um, okay, well, hello. Today I'm really excited to introduce my friend Ella Sikorska. Ella's a painter, printmaker, and drawer. But the works I love the most are her large, oversized drawings on handmade paper. Drawing has always been one of my favorite art forms, probably because drawings are a place to figure things out where ideas are worked out through, but not completely resolved. Drawings feel like alive, and this is especially true of Ella's subtle yet emotionally charged works. As I think you'll see in our slides, Ella's pieces are built from layers of delicate, finely drawn lines and soft tonal masses and collage. Her limited palette is predominantly browns and blacks, with sparing bursts of color that are powerful because of their intentionality and rarity. The images seem to emerge from the paper itself, and there is an undercurrent of tension, like an emotional struggle running through her marks. Much of her work unfolds in series, allowing themes about the earth, about nature, change, and decay to echo and evolve. She often weaves together ghostly images of trees and forests with abstracted archaeological forms of humans or animals. These are not illustrations. They feel more like an impression or a fragment of memory. At times, she incorporates almost microscopic, spidery handwriting drawn from the writings of Bruno Schulz, the Polish writer and artist. And these are both marks and content. Curator Annetta Schein wrote in an essay for Ella's 2017 exhibition at the Katzen. Sikorska's drawings also call to mind the persistent non finito in the works of Alberto Giacometti, who once said his goal was not to depict a phenomenon, but his perception of that phenomenon. And I find this an especially fitting description of Ella's work. So, without further ado, it's my great pleasure to introduce Ella Sikorska.
Thank you so much. Very insightful, beautiful introduction. Really, I was like, well, I have nothing to add. Just expand. And I wanted to thank Mariana and Jordan for having me here. But what Julia was referring to is my last work. I actually have something much more ambitious in my mind to show my journey with paper, working on paper and with paper. And this is almost 30 years long journey. Before that, I was painting, and then for some reason I decided I need line. the paintings really didn't satisfy my need for line. Perhaps this need was because I did study printmaking in Warsaw. Anyway, it didn't happen overnight, this transition from painting to working on paper. But I started with small size drawings, and first it was maybe I will just start. Yeah, they were. I didn't put any titles next to these slides, but the size, so that will, because the size is important, and it will grow, and you can then imagine, how the size is. You will imagine the whole thing, the drawing, better. Anyway, they were landscapes, and I was into landscapes shortly after I arrived in this country. And when I think about it now, maybe this was my way to find how to assimilate into America, and to observe landscape, to contemplate it, and then to transfer it into art. So the first drawings were, I hope this is the first one. They are basically trying to find my way with the new medium. When I was painting, I really didn't prepare any particular sketches, or I was just very brief and then painting. But here it was different, because I was trying to create self-standing a piece of art. So they were first just pencil, and the size was slowly growing. 22 by 30 was for a while my favorite size. And then technique also got more developed, because I started using powder and Conte crayon, and the size was important because the mark became more important. So what I enjoyed in drawings is the up close vision is almost abstract. It's just registration of marks and energy. And when you step back, then you see you see the realistic image. But from up close, you see how it was made, how it developed from marks. So this is even bigger. It's 45 by 33 inches, and this was also my favorite size for a while. I'm still black and white. And what is important that I was looking for was some kind of structure in realistic landscape. I use photographs, but not really copying it, but try to transform it in some way. So the structure was important as an underlying of the image, and I kind of emphasize that and manipulate the realistic image in this direction. There are this, I just, as an example of working on one theme, I decided to show, this is the same theme, the same view in color, because at some point I missed color and introduced that back with the graphite. I treated it in limited way, that it was only one color at a time. They were not colorful drawings. They were kind of structured with black and white and one color. So this is, if you see, this is the same in black and white in different drawing, and then so the color become more and more important and complicated, the whole idea, in a way that perhaps added some more abstract aspect to this realism. No, there is even bigger, 45 by 60. And but it's back and forth with black and white, but mostly I'm heading towards color. This drawing is in the DC Art Bank collection, this one.
They're gorgeous.
Thank you. I have some problem with this. I don't know how to. And then at some point, I realized that I need presence in the landscape, and it's hard to see. This drawing has two images of horses. So I introduced the animals, a presence as animals overlaying landscape, superimposed over landscape, not a element under the tree, some little dog, but rather kind of more universal presence, which changed also image of landscape. They struggled at some point. What is more important? Is it landscape or is this animal? There is another example of the same motif I worked on. This is black and white, kind of, and this is just with color.
Hello, what is the color? Is it a Conte crayon or is it a pastel?
It's contact crayon. The more I worked on this, the more complicated technique became. So I started using pastel and contact crayons, and sometimes even they were like watercolor sticks.
And the paper, Ella?
Paper is arches, watercolor arches here.
So it has, is it cold press?
Yeah, it's smooth. It's very smooth.
So hot press.
With this hot or cold press. This is in detail to show the marks and how different they were, and they were, some are very tedious and time consuming, some are more energetic, but this is fragment of this drawing. And now they are even bigger, and I stayed with this size, 90 by 45, for a while. This is the beginning of my series of war drawings about war or fighting or conflict, and this I will show later photograph from the Katzen Center exhibition, where all these 4 drawings are displayed as a frieze. But that's their, as you see, somehow the landscape almost vanished, and not completely, but here it is back. This is a triptych. 60 by 45 is size of each of them, each of these drawings. And this one was inspired by Shakespeare play, Winter Tale. And I read later a very insightful, very interesting review of it. And the author explained the main character, Hermia, I think, who appears in the play in 3 different forms as a nature, symbol of nature, culture, and divine. And it was kind of brilliantly written and inspired me. So the left is nature, the left drawing. And this is oak tree. I revisit every year on Cape Cod. It's dying tree, but there is special kind of oaks in the Cape, and I just love this place. The other one, the middle one, there is image of Arctic. They have in the Arctic they have like marking of orientation marking. They pile stones. Sometimes these piles reminds of kind of human form. They are called what they are called. They are Inuit. And on the right, it's divine. So it's like kind of obvious, simple. So this is, I was, excuse me, I was always, not always, but at this point, I was fascinated with time and a different culture and showing it somehow in one piece that to inspire such reflections. This is my big fascination. This figure here, which is actually collaged over drawing. This made of very thin Japanese tissue paper. This is from Ain Ghazal statue, and Ain Ghazal was a place in Jordan where in the 80s, I think, they were discovering sites with human figures made of plaster. They were not fired, but they were. It's complicated to describe the technique, not needed here. But they were. The first time I saw head of this statue, they are 9,000 years old. So that already is moving, in my opinion. And first I saw it in the British Museum, just had, and 2 years ago I saw pretty intact statue in the Louvre, and I had a chance to photograph it myself, not just collecting from the internet images, but so this is something which appears. This one is Pompeii, and it is probably the most abstract from this series. It is hard to read, but there is a kind of person lying there at the bottom, but that's my taken of fire. Fire is intriguing topic because it has form. It's just, we never think, it's so alive, so moving that you never think about having form, but it does have. This again is this is called mugshot, and it's not easy to see, but there are three heads. There are three big drawings. Each of them is, I mean, altogether is 52 by 156. But each of these has, they form one piece, one view of nature, kind of landscape. But on each piece, there is a human head, very kind of elusive. It's a face, profile, and lying head. There is back to landscape, and once again close up. I don't know if this is any helpful to explain technique and how it works. This is interesting because first time I used my own paper in combination with Arches watercolor. So the big drawing itself is on Arches, and these two pieces on very translucent abaca, highly beaten abaca paper, are kind of overlying. So it is called Leonardo because the images, it's about wings, it's about flying. And Leonardo was doing incredible research and these beautiful drawings about wings, trying to figure it out how to fly. This is big, it is called Up and Down. It's just landscape. Again, this is called black soil, and there are again two statues drawn over that, over the drawing, and there is one which is called 8 by 5 centimeters of soil, and I thought it was quite. It was interesting to enlarge it to 80 by 52 inches and contemplate the soil, the little piece of soil in this way. And that's it. And this is me at the Katzen with these two drawings. The last I showed, showing maybe this just it gives a sense of the scale of the drawings. And there are a few shots from the exhibition.
Were they mounted on wood, or what did you mount them on? Because they're not framed.
Right. I cannot believe that they were holding, but they were just. I used artist tape, and it worked. It was in many spots, but it was holding the whole drawing. And this size of drawing is rather heavy. So there was on the upper part, there was the this kind of both sides artist tape. It's very strong, and it's not forever, but it survived the time the show was on.
Is it still there, or did it?
No, this was in the 2017.
Oh, thank you. Too bad.
Yeah. Then I have another chapter here, and this is in the meantime when I was still doing drawing, something happened, and this was my work at the Pyramid Atlantic. Pyramid Atlantic was, you heard about it. It was still located here in Silver Spring, where I live, And I approached them, and I wanted to just somehow work there or fit there. And Helen Frederick, who was back then director of the institution, and she was a founder also, she accepted me, she took me aboard, and I had kind of a very loose function there. And I was helping when they needed me. I enjoyed that very much. I learned a lot. I mostly was assisting with workshops. They had many workshops back then, bringing really fabulous artists from all over the country. And then at some point, I applied and got something they call a key holder residency. It lasts 1 year, and you get a key to the facility, and you can then work anytime during the day or night. I enjoyed working at night when nobody was there. And then I got into paper making. I learned how to make paper and how to deal with it. This is very, very little knowledge, very narrow knowledge, what I acquired during this 1 year, because this is incredible field. Really, you spend year life dedicated to this. Anyway, my project was for this residency was something which I called, it was never really fully realized, we and them, or we are them, or they are us. Anyway, it was about series. It was designed as a series of portraits of white people, and somehow in combination with faces from the artifacts from old and all over the world, which we consider very often as them. So the first one will be just series of these portraits. They are the sequence was there were 23 of them, and the sequence was from the white to black paper. This paper is very special. I really worked hard to produce that, and it is very highly beaten abaca, which was very difficult to make, to drain, and to dry. So I produced quite a bit of it. Oh, there are 3 me in the middle, enlarged portraits, and the size is 36 by 27. So if you know a little about paper making, already producing paper this size is challenging, but I got great help there. And there are samples of some drawings from the other side, so-called them. And then printmaking. My printmaking is, at some point, I also started working at small printmaking workshop in the Silver Spring, not a couple of blocks away from Pyramid. 2 printmakers, wonderful, very knowledgeable, very supportive, were running it. This was Terry Svat and Pauline Jacobsberg, and they were just terrific. We were working together. I loved this place. And this was when I produced among other things, I think the most meaningful was this series, which I call Moose, Hanging Moose, which was based on photographs I saw of animals hanging on some kind of pole or after hunting. So that's the hunting ritual, that they hang these animals before, I don't know, working on these bodies in some way. So I worked in a dry point on plastic. So the editions are very small, and I produced 3 images of male moose, female, and view from the back. And then in different, I was able to do combinations of these, overlaying or just this is a exhibition installation. The only time I actually showed these prints was at the Nova in Sterling, or yeah, I think Sterling. They are meant to be against the light, because then you see clearly the overlying images. And I also did some other project. Unfortunately, there was a big series of 24 or so prints, scrolls. And unfortunately, I don't have any documentation of that, decent documentation that I would be happy to share. I started working then on drawing on this paper, this highly beaten abaca, translucent paper. It's very challenging because it doesn't take water very well. It buckles, and so I use alcohol, or if I choose, I have to make the whole sheet wet. This is arms and legs. It's 36 by 27 is each sheet, not the whole piece. It's a sample of kind of my attempt to combine temporary with old art. They are big. It is she and he, and they were planned to be, once again, it didn't happen the way I wanted it to happen. This was meant to be installation, showing with other drawings and showing her world and his world. But the gallery just was not happy with this, and it didn't happen. There will be 2 self-portraits. So me on the right. On the left is a little statue. In Ghana, they make staffs. They are proverbs, or kind of common wisdom, folk or country wisdom, or people. They are Asante people doing it. And this one, I was so fascinated because I saw a person kissing bird. And I thought it's so wonderful. This is like a reunion of nature and people, but it means something completely different, I find out. And I couldn't find the real meaning of this, but I made a drawing. Then there is another self-portrait with Chinese mask, and a couple of more. There are also, because producing this highly beaten abaca paper in bigger size is quite impossible. So this, I was just gluing together smaller pieces and drawing to have bigger sizes. This is Apollo, or Dreaming of Apollo. And This installation was at the MacLean Project for the Arts. I had a show there, which was called Nature and Culture. And this installation is about that, about nature and culture. So each piece, each drawing is 18 by 18 inches and is double-sided. This is a view. This is not the whole installation because the ceiling was too low. But there, I have like 49 of these images. On the other side, seeing a little against the light, then you see overlay images. So this will be we are looking from the culture side. And they are mostly some artifacts from Africa or old art.
There is a question, Ella, if I can ask it in the chat, about what guides your imagery at any one point. What gets you fired up, they said.
Oh, I don't know. I know it's like my interest travels all the time, and I love doing research. The whole thing about Africa lasted, the fascination of it lasted for years, and I really enjoyed. It's a kind of way of learning through making art. So I have some ideas, and then I start research, and I use these images to express some thoughts. So that's and it travels. It doesn't stay. As you will see later in the third part of my presentation. Maybe I should speed up.
And you had made enough paper, the abaca paper. You must have made a lot.
A lot of paper. I was very industrious, yes. So this was this, and then we are coming to the recent works. And recent works is combination of my paper, translucent paper, mostly, with these arches watercolor. And the idea came, the whole project started like maybe 3 years ago. And I call it landscape and memory, or something like that. It's really not set, but it's about memory accumulated and nature, and the whole series is thinking about that. And it started when I was on the beach walking and collecting shells and stones, and then I realized that these shells are just moment in a process, that there was a living creature in this shell, and then it will very soon become sand, and it kind of then I saw that the whole beautiful beach is a graveyard in a way, and I then started thinking about nature around us in different way, about my own backyard, that there are layers of time and information and life under my flower bed. And there is a tree, beech tree in the corner of tiny yard. And I thought about this tree as a witness to what was going on during the lifespan of this tree. And it is not a very old tree, but in this last spring, I had a chance to see olive trees, very old trees, and they are like 10,000 years old or something, just quite amazing. And they have the power to, and unless they are uprooted or burnt or something, they have a power to regrow from small part which is left. So this idea I'm still working on and exploring. And I also joined a group of artists. They call themselves Cultivate. And this was very interesting. And there is a lot of support, but also different approaches to nature. And so this was first, I think, what I did in this series. There's 6 drawings. Again, there is from white to dark. I have inclination clearly from this sequence. And this is called Broken Land. This doesn't have to be presented this way. They were in a Delaware art center in group show as a string of drawings. But they here they are with the and this is the drawing Julia referred to. This is first one I used writing from this Polish Jewish writer who died during the war, and I found some text in his books which really inspired me and refers so clearly to what I'm thinking about. He describes going down, 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 deep into soil and earth and finding some kind of chamber of stored history and which comes then up into and inspires us. And anyway, it's very difficult for me to. It's complicated. It's not easy literature, and it's complicated idea. First, I thought that he talks about something like Greek myths. Demeter and coming back in the spring, because it is about spring, but it's not. And every time I read it, I see something new and different interpretations come up. This is this one is called Hands. The center part is this translucent paper. It's very difficult. These photographs are not really showing it properly because they are flat. In order to photograph it well, I have to pin them to the wall and then photograph. But they show the difference in paper the best if they are a little bit in small distance from the wall, and the light comes through the handmade paper. This is one of the series, and this is with the cuneiforms, the ancient writing samples from Mesopotamia. Then again, there is my favorite guy from Louvre. In Ghazal, I'm talking about this 9,000 years old statue. Another drawing with maze with labyrinths, which is old and universal symbol, and combined with trees. There is a statue as a upside down as an extension of tree in this drawing, maybe hard to notice at once. And then I had a series of tondos, and this is lava, This is spring, fire, and I really burn holes in the paper. Underneath is my paper. The burnt one is arches. And what is it? Swirl. So there is another one with shell. I think I should speed up because the monument to the left of the tree is Scandinavian kind of gravestone. The Swedish friend was able to recognize it as. There is also writing here, but it's so tiny that it is impossible. It's like a string on the left. The red part is abaca. The lighter part is also handmade, but it's cotton. This is the blue part is, it's called tree. The blue part is arches. The brown part is translucent, kind of my paper. And this is one of the last, they are olive trees. And there is also handwriting here, but not poetry. Is a fragment about olive making in Tuscany and how it's all manual actually, and how superior the Tuscany olive oil is to any other. So the left and right are on my own paper. The centerpiece has the image of a tree is on my paper. This is collaged with abaca, with the arches. They are this, and this is the last one called sand. And that's it. Thank you so much. To be continued. I decided not to write the end because to be continued as this series. I hope to still produce some more.
Well, this has been a fabulous talk. I had a quick question for you. How does it switching from one culture to another, does it feel seamless to you? Does it kind of feel universal at a certain point where, Scandinavian kind of bleeds into Africa and, Poland, does it all kind of get mixed to almost be singular for you?
Well, no, it's actually interesting, and it is revealing that we don't realize we like to separate, but in my view, I think we have much more in common, and if we would open to it more and investigate and accept, this maybe would be helpful for everybody.
Oh, they're just amazing. I don't even know where to start asking, but I have lots of questions. When you do the white, do you end up saving the paper in the overlaps of branches, for example, or the allusion to branches? Do you end up kind of leaving the area white for later, or do you paint with white or draw with white on top?
Well, no, the way I collage these papers is that I define the form, and then I cut in a little bigger of a piece in my own paper, I call it, and then glue it.
Right. Okay, so it's glued onto the arches.
Yeah, and it's not visible because it's
right. It's
in the back, but
right.
Yeah.
Oh, they're gorgeous. And the translucent, you can draw on both sides or print on both sides.
Like in this installation from the MacLean Project for the Arts, they on both sides, and it needs it's a little light, and then you see overlapping
And how did you get the papers to be kind of lined up and straight? Because I imagine a translucent paper could curl and
Yeah, but all depends. Like with prints, this is Japanese tissue paper, very thin, very different from what I produced myself. So there is no danger of any, strong will in the paper. It's just that. But with this abaca, it is a challenge really to work on this.
wow. And when it was red, was that you painted or you put pigment in the manufacture of the paper?
It's a special technique that no, this is special technique to no dye dye. I think.
Dyeing the paper, right?
Yeah, it's not. But I'm almost afraid to say because I forgot so much already about this, and there is strict vocabulary. What is correct, what is not.
Ouch. Well, we are all admiring. So here we have no experts other than you.
Thank you.
Yeah, great to see all the works, Ella, and hear more about them. That's great. Do you have something coming up in an exhibit or something like that that we could take a look at?
I hope so. It's still not. I don't want to talk about it too much, but it's still not for sure. But perhaps something in the spring. Yeah.
I had a question. Thank you for the presentation. I'm just curious about how you manage with the larger sheets of paper when you're drawing. Are you working flat on a table or are you pinning the paper up and drawing?
I have a whole system because studio is very small. And I have a system of, this getter board.
Mhm.
This material, which is like foam board, but stronger. So I have panels of it. They are very light. I can easily move this around my studio. And I just hang on that.
Okay.
But when I do these collaging two different kind of paper, then I do need table to glue and press and make sure that it sticks together.
Okay.
Yeah.
And one other question, if I can. The Katzen show that you had showed, you said you use artist tape. That's not the artist tape that we usually use, that blue tape, right?
No. This is real. It is called artist tape. You can buy it in any store of supplies, art supplies. And they were, like folded, like loops that they were holding both sides. And there are techniques of hanging work with this tape. It's just depends of how big the work is. It has weight. The work, and especially Arches watercolor paper is heavy, so you have to figure it out. But there are techniques of hanging work with just tape. And it holds.
Ella, I have a question too. We know that you are an avid reader, and so I feel in a sense the literature of your images is decoded in the literature of your paper. And the way you look at a surface is almost like I'm running my hands over the letters of a page in literature. So can you tell us some of the books that you're reading now that are instrumental in your understanding culture and imagery that feed you?
Yeah, now it lifted. That's so interesting and so difficult to explain. But so there was this Bruno Schulz, who was the kind of poetic. His prose is like poetry, and it's kind of difficult, but it's more in a category of poetry and fine literature. But I read all kinds of things, many articles, all kinds of. But also there was, for instance, I love picking mushrooms. and there everybody looks like, oh yeah, East European custom, but now we are learning more and more about it. And there is a British scientist, pretty young. His name is Merrill Sheldrake or something like that. And he wrote a book, fascinating, about fungus. So what we think about mushrooms is just, think we buy at the supermarket, but this is quite a different story of what he reviews. So there is, it's also what is interesting that I think there's more and more kind of scientific approach to nature and the explanation. And scientists are looking into explaining and popularizing science through that. But I actually didn't answer your question, did I?
No, you did. I think you mean Sheldrake Rupert. Yes, he's amazing. And that, I think that's what I feel in the work, that it's almost like it's growing out of the earth.
Yeah.
And also then you're applying your intellectual properties from how you keep advancing one after the other. And they're just so extremely beautiful, but also deeply meaningful in things that are unknown. And so we sort of look at them like we're looking at the earth undoing itself. And it's a beautiful experience in looking at your work. You know, I love it.
So much. Thank you so much, Helen. Coming from you, it's really great compliment. But what is interesting to me also, and I cannot explain that, why I started writing on these pieces. And it was kind of impulse because I was so charmed with this literature by Bruno Schulz that I started writing. And probably Julia can explain to us because it is her domain so much. But yeah, it's. I still don't understand, but I do write stories.
Do you write in English or Polish or both?
No, but Bruno Schulz was writing in Polish. So this text is in Polish, but the olive trees are in English because this is old kind of manual about producing olive. So yeah.
Can you talk a little bit about kind of your, I don't want to say just daily process, but I think that's what I'm asking is like, how much time do you need to spend in the forest to kind of get energy, that feeling to kind of go back to the studio and start creating again? I imagine your research is such an incredible part of the process, but how do you balance the production of actual creating work versus researching work?
Um, Hard to say, really. At the beginning, when I was starting with landscape, I spent much more time outside. But now it's just not so. I still enjoy walking through, the woods and our annual escape to the capes, to the Cape. But it's not that I need to be there at this point. I accumulated so much that there is images, but also it's kind of in me now. But to expand that, I do I do read all kinds of things which come across and I find to help me understand what the nature is about and what could be about. And also I mentioned Cultivate group, which is so helpful. They are very different artists from me and with very different approaches. And yeah, it's helping to learn.
Various points in your talk, you have talked about the ideas behind the works, and I would like to hear more about that. I've been very fortunate to be able to be sometimes in Ella's studio and talk to her on a much more informal basis. And the ideas behind your work, or what you discover as you're working on them, are part of the fascination, in addition to the very sensual beauty of her work. I mean, I don't think that that's really what you're after, but all the works are just wonderful in terms of sensuality. With the titles, do you come to them after you finish the work, or do you have something in mind when you're starting a drawing? How does that work?
The titles are irrelevant, frankly. I don't, especially in the early work, I mean, not like in the case of Leonardo, because this is, I really want this reference to be clear. But if it comes to landscapes, they are just made up and for the purpose to easily refer to some drawing. So they are, it varies. And the Bruno Schulz is just Bruno Schulz drawing. Then there is Hans because there is an image. So they are not really helping a viewer to understand.
You know, I would disagree there. I like having titles.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. It gives me a place to start thinking about the work. It's not descriptive because your works are not illustrational in any way, but it gives me a starting point to think of something that's otherwise very abstract and beautiful. And so that's from a member of your audience. Not everything has to have a title, but I do. Also, it does give you more of a sense of the groupings of things. I'd like to know more of the context of how a work of art came about, what the artist was thinking, if they can remember, which parts of that are expressed in that drawing, because there's a tendency to get lost in the beauty of the drawing and the physical expression of the drawing, and maybe not talk so much about the ideas. And I know your work has a lot of ideas behind it. And I just, I think that a title helps me.
Mm-hmm.
I'm an art historian, so I like words.
Yeah. Well, yeah, there is, you see, you said they are not illustrations, but I think they are stories.
Yes.
Story in every drawing. And that's what even by combining two elements like old something, like labyrinth and image of drawing, there is a story in it. And then I would like to inspire viewer to think about it. And
exactly.
So
when I know part of the story, then I can let my own imagination fill in. But I can't always know where to begin or what something refers to. So I just would encourage you to think about that as you finish work.
Yeah.
For those of us who can't immediately see what something is about. I mean, I sometimes just get wrapped up in how sensual and beautiful the work is, but I also like to think about its meaning.
You're right. And sometimes I don't realize it because when I do some research and reading, then the subject becomes so familiar to me and not so obvious to the viewers. And I encountered that a couple of times that people just were clueless what and I couldn't understand why, because it's there. So that you're right, I have to think more about it. Have to make it more accessible. But back to beauty, beauty became at some point like a embarrassing aspect of art, and I appreciate beautiful art and beauty in art. I think it's very important. Thank you so much, and I will talk more about it.
Do you have any final questions for our artists today?
People in the comments are saying what a great presentation and how much they love your work.
Thank you so much. Thank you, everybody, to attending. I really appreciate it.
This was fascinating.
We need to let her get back to work. I want to keep you.
To reading or to drawing? Or both?
Both.
Thank you. This was amazing.
It has been a great presentation, and what a way to end our clinic online for 2025. Thank you everyone for attending today's talk. Thank you to Julia Bloom for inviting Ella here today. It was absolutely stunning work, and I'm still in shock of your scale and versatility with the medium of paper. It's unbelievable. Again, we'll meet up again on January 10th for our next meeting. If you're looking for our clinic online in the interim, go check out our archives. We have I don't even, I think I like our 60 so artists at this point from the DMV area, and they're all incredible. So we are so lucky to have such a wealth of talent in our backyard. But thank you for all your support and for attending our meetings. It's been a lot of fun. Thank you.
Yes, yes.
Is there a mailing list for these programs? This is the first one that I've attended.
Totally, yeah. There's
That-
if you go to my webpage, there's lots of links to newsletters, and I usually do one newsletter per artist, so it comes out every 2 weeks when they're
Hey, what is your
line.
website?
JJBruns.com, JJBRUNS.com. And it's a
Okay.
great place to find all of the past artists, including Julius, who has a fabulous talk. So go check hers out first. But yeah, I sent out a newsletter. That has other things involved with it as well, but mostly we focus on the Art Clinic Online program.
Thank you very much. I
Thank
will
you so
go back
much.
to some of the previous ones.
Thank you for attending. It's great.